So my interest and background is in functional neuroimaging, and that's studying how the brain works. You can do this from a variety of techniques. My preferred methodology is functional MRI. So who here has had an MRI scan? Probably most of us. Yeah, they're becoming pretty commonplace nowadays. What we can do with MRIs, in addition to studying bones and tissues and whatnot, if you have a strong enough MRI, you can also study brain function. We can basically track hemoglobin as it flows through the brain, because hemoglobin has an iron core, so we can track hemoglobin and blood flow throughout the brain, and from there we can figure out what brain regions are involved with a given task. If you're doing something as simple as tapping your finger or looking at art or thinking about emotions, we can actually tap in and see what the brain is doing roughly every 2 to 3 seconds and see what the brain's doing while you're doing these different tasks. And I find it very fascinating because I'm interested in studying networks. What are the brain networks? How do they encode cognition, and how do they encode individual differences? Individual differences is especially interesting to me because for the past 2 decades or so, it's a relatively new technology. We focused on group differences. So you have 30 patients with, say, depression and 30 healthy subjects, and how do they differ? But if you really want to translate this into the clinical setting, then you need to understand individual variance. So if you go to the doctor and have your blood pressure taken, depending upon your age and gender, a 150/100 could be good or it could be bad. If you're 80-year-old male, that's probably not too bad. If you're a 20-year-old female, that's probably really bad. But if you go to the doctor and say, okay, my brain is 3% active, well, what does that mean? So my interest is trying to map out individual variance and trying to understand healthy cognitive brain function so that then we can look in a patient population clinically and try to draw some sort of clinical inference.